I forgot to preface this with I am in no way a professional baker and don't really know a lot about this stuff and what I'm doing. I just know that this is easy enough that me not knowing what I'm doing can do it.
Like a shaggy dough?
Yes, a shaggy dough.
So how's that look?
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, so yours is pretty wet. You could maybe...
I didn't, I
Yeah.
real light-handed on the flour.
Yeah, you could maybe add a little more flour.
Less wet.
Yeah, and I mean, it really... I've done it both ways. I've had drier doughs and I've had wetter doughs, and they both work if you're not tied to the baking time. So if you have a wetter dough, it's going to be a little denser and need a little more time to bake. It's going to get a little brown around the outside while you're baking. You know, the inside to be done, and the inside might be a little denser. So it does take a little experimentation. So I'm going to show you guys how to do the cloaking. Like, pretend we've already let this rise and then put it in the refrigerator, and you're ready to make some bread for dinner to impress everybody you know. So typically it ends up being really sticky and shaggy like that. That's kind of the consistency you want, like you were making chocolate chip cookies. Once you throw it in the fridge, it gets easier to work with, so this is it'll be easier than this, but pretend that this is easy to work with. So we'll take kind of a grapefruit size thing, and actually, to make this easier, and you just kind of dust it with flour before you pull it off. And again, when it's cold, it's a lot easier to do. But the cloaking, you basically just get your little ball in your hand, like a little baseball, and then you pull the top down on one side. And then you just do that on each quarter turn. And you'll kind of gather it all at the bottom, and it makes a nice, you can see kind of the strings, it makes a nice smooth surface. I know, it's fun. It's tough to do when it's this warm. But then when you're ready to bake it, you'll do that. You'll take it, you'll dust it with enough flour to just kind of easily set it off your hands, which doesn't work when it's this warm. And then you'll set it on and this is where you can either buy the stuff if you get really into it, or you can do it my way, which is just with whatever you happen to have in your kitchen. You can either buy a pizza peel, which is that big wooden thing that the pizza guys with the wood ovens use to into the oven. Or I just use a wooden cutting board. And in this case, you want to dust it with cornmeal. You want something kind of coarse so that the bread easily slides off. Doing it with flour, because this is such a wet dough, it's going to end up sticking. So get some cornmeal, you just dust your cutting board with the cornmeal, and you set your dough ball on there, and you let it rest for however long the recipe says. I think this one says 40 minutes. Then you just walk away, make the rest of your dinner, do whatever you need to do, and then about halfway through that, you'll preheat the oven. You want a pretty hot oven. Again, we want that dark brown crackly crust. So this one I believe is 450. Can't read upside down. It's on there.
Yeah.
450. And the thing you want to remember, and this is another thing you can either buy or not, you want the thing you're going to put your bread on already in there preheating. So the fancy way would be to buy a pizza stone. It gets really hot, it holds the heat evenly, and you just preheat it in there with that. I use a cookie sheet. I've never bought any of the special equipment. It works just fine. I just throw the cookie sheet in there while it's preheating. And the other thing you want in there, and this is what's really important to get you that crispy crust, is a pan that you can hold water. So if your oven has a broiler pan that will feed up into the oven, you can do that. Mine doesn't, so I just use a cake tin. Don't use glass, learn that one the hard way. Use metal, and just stick it in there, preheat it, and then when you're ready to put the bread in, you'll open the door, you'll take your pizza peel or cutting board and slide it, and it'll fly off and land on the cookie sheet. Takes a little practice sometimes. You got to kind of get that really quick flick of the wrist. If it flips over, whatever, it's a loaf of bread. It's fine. And then you pour a cup of water into the broiler pan or cake tin, whatever. It'll steam, it's kind of scary the first time you do it, and then you want to shut the door really quick. And that steam and this cloak of gluten is what makes that really hard, crispy crust. So you get that nice artisan bread, crackly crust, and it's all light and fluffy on the inside. And it's that easy, and then it's done. There is, you will want to, it says on there, you guys can see on the book cover, the little lines in there. Just before you throw it in, you want to take a serrated knife and just do a few lines. You can do the crosshatch if you like that, or just the lines through, whatever decorative thing you want. That allows the steam to escape the bread and not get trapped in there and explode. So that's it. I mean, it says 5 minutes a day. You know, obviously the initial part takes a little longer to rise, but once you're ready to do it, it just takes 5 minutes of hands-on, and then you can go do other stuff. So it's really easy. It's really cheap, which is what I like. Normally you buy a loaf of artisan bread and it's $3, $4, $6, $7, and it's wonderful. You know, I love Bread and Sea, and I still buy their stuff when I'm short on time, but this is 60 cents or so a loaf. And you know what it's in it. There's 4 ingredients here. You got salt, water, yeast, and flour. So you know what's going into it. You can pronounce everything. You know, you can kind of be a little more in control of what you're eating and what you're feeding your family. And it's delicious. It really is. It's some of the best bread. Dom's had it when I made it at home.
Awesome.
It was very good. And as I said, I'm in no way a professional or skilled baker. This is something really that anyone can do. So if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them. You guys have the main recipe to take home, and then there's the website for the books. It has kind of a supplemental website that's on there. You can poke through the book if you want. Please wash your hands first if you've played with your dough, because I love that book. And a huge thanks to Blind Lady Ale House and Tiger who donated our ingredients, and to Slow Food Urban San Diego who donated all of the bowls. And if you borrowed a bowl, please transfer your dough into a Ziploc, and then we can just stack up the bowls and I'll use them for the next class. And again, don't seal it, just leave it open for at least 2 hours until you get home, and then you can put it in something else and throw it in the fridge. Does anybody have any questions?
Have you tried, have you baked it in a convection oven before?
I haven't. I have always had like the dinky little old apartment gas stoves, but
I know through that conversion can take some time too.
yeah, I would, if somebody already hasn't asked that question on the website, you can ask them, you can just post the questions, and the authors will answer them right back on the website for everybody to read. So they're really reachable, which is nice. One of them is an MD and one of them is a baker, so they've got kind of that good combo of taste and health. And then there's a newer book that came out that was multi-grain breads, or healthy breads, and then they have a pizza book out now as well. And I know that I'm touting this book like it's a religion, but they don't know that I'm doing this. I'm not getting anything for it. I just love it. So yeah. So you guys all have, again, this will make 2 loaves. What you have right now is